Go Set A Watchman by Harper Lee.
Harper Lee was born in Monroeville, Alabama in 1926, and just like in the story, her father was a lawyer. And after high school, she went to Montgomery, Alabama, to an all-girls college, and she focused on being a writer, but she wanted to be a lawyer just like her father, but after the first semester, she dropped out. Unlike most people think, Harper Lee actually wrote Go Set A Watchman before she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and she wrote Go Set A Watchman in the 1950s, but she didn't publish it until 2015. Now, in this picture, Jean Louise, or Scout, is a young girl, but in Go Set A Watchman, she's about 25, 26 years old, and she's coming home from New York City to her hometown of Macomb, Alabama, to see her family. Even though Jean Louise grew up in Macomb, Alabama, when she comes home, she doesn't feel like it's home. She feels like an outsider. The relationship that Jean Louise and her father Atticus has is something really special. Jean Louise really looks up to him, but when she sees him in the city council meeting to stop the civil rights movement, it really bothers her. Even though it really upsets her that she saw her father at that meeting, they do make up and they do become friends again. However, Jean Louise does not see her father as that idol figure anymore. Another thing that Jean Louise notices that she's different is that she doesn't look at someone and notice what color skin they are. She's almost like she's colorblind. She can just see who they are as a person instead of what color their skin is. Since Harper Lee wrote the book during and a little bit before the civil rights movement started, it might not be accurate. She could have not had all the information correct about the movement because it hadn't started yet. However, the book is not about the civil rights movement, it's more about racism and standing up for what you think is right. The book is not a historical book and it doesn't have citations or any sources listed, but that doesn't mean it's not accurate or credible. Harper Lee lived in Alabama at that time, and she experienced the struggles of racism for herself. Even though the characters are not real, I do think that they give some insight on how people lived in the South and in everyday life. Go Set A Watchman really helps explain what small town people went through in the South during the civil rights movement and how important races and segregation really meant to them. I also believe that Harper Lee tried to prove the point of making your own decision matters while telling a story. I really recommend reading this book.